What if I told you the biggest reason people stay stuck is not because God forgot them, it's because they keep listening to every voice except His? That's the tragedy. We live in a world full of noise, pressure, fear, comparison, confusion, and most people are spiritually starving while emotionally exhausted. They're chasing peace in places God never designed to satisfy them. They want clarity, but they keep feeding chaos. They want purpose, but they keep living distracted. They want breakthrough, but they refuse to surrender. And here's the truth. When you lose connection with God, you don't just lose direction, you lose power. You start doubting what He already called you to do. You start shrinking in places where you were meant to stand bold. You start settling for survival when heaven created you for impact. So if you're feeling tired, lost, delayed, attacked, or spiritually drained, this message is for you. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why some battles in your life are not physical, they are spiritual. You're going to see why your mindset, your habits, your environment, and your faith are either building your destiny or sabotaging it. You're going to discover what happens when you stop chasing the world and start aligning with God. And most importantly, you're going to be reminded of who you really are when God is at the center of your life. This is not just motivation, this is a wake-up call, because there comes a moment when you have to stop playing small, stop living distracted, stop letting fear speak louder than faith, and finally decide, I will not live beneath what God placed inside me. So don't watch this casually. Don't just hear these words, receive them. Because if you stay with me until the end, something in your spirit is going to shift, your mind is going to sharpen, and your faith is going to rise. Your life changes when your focus changes. That is not just a motivational line, that is a law. The direction of your life is always determined by the direction of your attention. If your mind is locked on growth, discipline, purpose, and execution, your life begins to rise. But if your focus is trapped in comparison, distraction, envy, and obsession over what other people are doing, your life begins to weaken from the inside out. Most people are not failing because they lack talent. They are failing because they are mentally unavailable for their own future. They are spending too much energy watching someone else win, someone else shine, someone else get ahead. And while they are staring at other people's progress, they are neglecting their own power, and that is where the damage begins. Because comparison is the fastest way to kill your potential. It kills your confidence before you even take action. It kills your gratitude by making your blessings feel small. It kills your momentum by convincing you that you are behind. And worst of all, it kills your identity, because the more you compare yourself to others, the more disconnected you become from who you are meant to be. You start chasing lives that were never designed for you. You start measuring your worth by somebody else's timeline. You start questioning your own path simply because it doesn't look like theirs. That is a dangerous mindset, because the moment you stop focusing on your assignment, you begin to lose your edge. Real growth starts when you pull your attention back home, back to your habits, back to your mindset, back to your routine, back to your standards, back to your mission, because your future will never be built by studying everybody else's life. It will only be built by mastering your own. The people who truly win in life are not the ones who spend all day comparing themselves. They are the ones who become consumed with improvement. They wake up asking better questions, not why are they ahead of me, but how can I become stronger today? Not why do they have more than me, but what do I need to do to raise my level? That shift changes everything, because the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your focus. If your attention is weak, your results will be weak. If your attention is powerful, intentional, and disciplined, your life begins to transform. You do not need to compete with everybody around you. You need to become better than the version of yourself that keeps getting distracted. That is the real battle. Not against them, against your own inconsistency, your own self-doubt, your own need for validation. And once you stop looking left and right, once you stop measuring your worth against the crowd, once you stop letting other people's progress make you question your own, you become dangerous. You become clear, you become grounded, you become unstoppable. Because the moment your focus returns to your own growth, your own purpose, and your own execution, that is the moment your life begins to change. Stop watching them and start building you. That is the shift that separates people who stay stuck from people who actually transform. Too many people are wasting their lives in observation mode. They are constantly watching who is doing better, who is getting more attention, who is moving faster, who is succeeding louder, and all that watching is quietly draining the very energy they need to build their own future. You cannot create a powerful life if your eyes are always locked on somebody else's lane. You cannot become focused, disciplined, and dangerous if your mind is addicted to tracking other people's progress. The truth is simple. Every second second you spend studying someone else's success without studying your own habits is the second you are falling behind in your own journey. And that is why you have to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Stop watching them and start building you. Build your discipline, build your mindset, build your body. Build your skill, build your routine, build your confidence, build your standards, build your peace. Because while other people are busy performing for the world, you need to be busy preparing for your future. Your life does not change because you admire greatness. Your life changes when you decide to become it. And the biggest trap that keeps people from becoming it is this illusion that they are in competition with everybody around them. They think the battle is out there. They think the enemy is the person ahead of them, the person doing better, the person getting noticed, the person winning in public. But that is not your greatest competition. Your greatest competition is your old self, the version of you that keeps procrastinating, the version of you that keeps making excuses, the version of you that talks big but moves small, the version of you that gets inspired for one day and disappears for 10. The version of you that wants a better life but refuses to build better habits, that is the person you need to beat, not them, you. Because if you conquer the old version of yourself, you don't need to fear anyone else. If you can defeat your old mindset, your old laziness, your old emotional weakness, your old addiction to distraction, then you become a completely different force. And this is where real confidence comes from. Not from being better than others, but from knowing you are no longer the person you used to be. That is power, that is growth, that is transformation. Every day you should be asking one question: am I stronger than who I was yesterday? Not richer than them, not more popular than them, not more admired than them, stronger than the old you, sharper than the old you, more disciplined than the old you, more focused than the old you. Because if you keep winning that internal war, your external life will eventually have no choice but to change. But it starts when you stop wasting your energy on comparison and start investing your energy into construction. Stop watching them. Start building you. Beat the old version of yourself so completely that one day the life you once dreamed about becomes the life you now live. Where your attention goes, your power follows. That is why so many people feel weak, stuck, frustrated, and mentally exhausted, because their attention is constantly being pulled in the wrong direction. They are feeding their minds with other people's lifestyles, other people's progress, other people's wins, other people's approval, and then they wonder why they feel disconnected from their own purpose. Your attention is your most valuable resource. It is your life force. It is your energy. It is the gateway to your growth. Whatever you focus on long enough begins to shape your emotions, your mindset, your decisions, and eventually your destiny. If you focus on distractions, your life becomes distracted. If you focus on fear, your life becomes smaller. If you focus on your mission, your habits, your standards, and your next move, your power begins to return. That is how transformation starts. Not when your circumstances change, but when your attention changes. The moment you stop giving your mental energy to things that do not build you, you become stronger, you become clearer, you become harder to break. But most people never reach that level because they keep falling into the same trap, comparison. And the more you compare, the more you collapse. You collapse emotionally because comparison creates insecurity. You collapse mentally because comparison creates confusion. You collapse spiritually because comparison makes you forget your own value. The more you look at what others are doing, the more you start to question your own pace, your own progress, and your own path. You begin to feel behind even when you are growing. You begin to feel small even when you are improving. You begin to feel lost simply because your life doesn't look like theirs. That is how comparison destroys people. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, from the inside. It steals your confidence before you ever get the chance to use it. It drains your focus before you ever get the chance to lock in. It weakens your discipline by making you emotionally reactive instead of mentally committed. That is why you must guard your attention like your future depends on it, because it does. Stop giving your focus to things that shrink your spirit. Stop handing your power to people who are not living your assignment. Bring your mind back to your own lane, your own goals, your own standards, your own growth, because the life you want will never be built by watching everybody else. It will only be built when your attention finally becomes loyal to your own becoming. Distraction from others is destruction of self. Every time you obsess over someone else's life, you abandon your own growth. Their path is not your assignment. You don't need their life. You need your discipline. Stop chasing what looks good and start building what makes you powerful. Your future is created by focus, habits, and self-mastery, not comparison or envy. Master yourself and the world will notice. Real power is built in silence, in discipline, in the daily decisions nobody sees. When you control your habits, your emotions, and your focus, you become undeniable without chasing attention. The moment you stop looking at them, you start winning because your energy finally returns to where it belongs. Your growth, your purpose, your execution. No more distractions, no more comparisons, no more wasted potential, just progress, clarity, and relentless self-mastery that separates you from the crowd. Then hear this clearly. Your life will not change because you wish for better. It will change the moment you decide to live with intention, discipline, and faith. God has already placed something powerful inside you, but it is your responsibility to protect it, strengthen it, and walk in it. Stop letting distraction rob your destiny. Stop letting fear rewrite what faith was supposed to build. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and recognize that the moment is now. Because every day you delay alignment, you delay peace. Every day you ignore the call, you stay connected to confusion. But the second you return to God fully, everything begins to shift. Your mind, your spirit, your direction, your strength. So don't leave this message inspired and unchanged. Leave awakened, leave focused, leave committed to becoming the person God has called you to be. Thank you for watching Alpha Motivation. If this message spoke to your spirit, take 1 second right now and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below with one word that describes what you're choosing from this day forward: faith, discipline, focus, or purpose. Your next level begins with what you decide today. And if you're ready for the next motivational speech that will challenge your mindset and strengthen your spirit even more, stay connected, because the next message may be exactly what you need at exactly the right time.